Hi, everyone, and welcome. I am Lorene Quick. I am so glad you are here as we continue our conversations leading up to the Next Chapter Summit happening this coming July 9th through 12th. The theme for the July Summit is Independence After 50. And I'm not talking isolation and self-sufficiency and doing it all on your own kind of independence. I'm really talking about the idea that we can learn how to remain connected to ourselves and who we are, while at the same time still deeply connected to others in our life. One of the quietest shifts many women experience throughout life is not always visible from the outside looking in. And that shift is this gradual process of learning which emotions, which feelings that we have are acceptable to express and which feel safer to hide. And over time, we become experts at this. We learn how to stay composed and agreeable and accommodating and manage, quote unquote, our emotions. Not because these responses are really who we are, but because somewhere along the way we were taught, we learned that preserving connection to others meant actually minimizing parts of ourselves. Eventually, we got really good at what I would call emotionally editing ourselves. And as we became skilled at that, we actually began to no longer even recognize much of ourselves because we've hidden it away, we've buried it, we've silenced it, or we've even left it behind. Today's conversation is about what happens when we begin reconnecting with those parts again. And I am delighted to be joined by Sandra Lee. Sandra is an inner critic specialist who helps individuals understand the emotional patterns that shape the way they think, how they respond, and also how they relate to themselves. Her work explores suppressed emotions, in particular, self protection, and long held conditioning that can quietly influence our relationships, our confidence, and even our sense of identity. Her work has also led Sandra to focus on the healing of the brain and optimizing the brain's function. Today's conversation is titled, What Happens When Women Stop Shrinking Themselves? And together we're going to explore why so many women have learned to disconnect from their emotional truth, what it costs us to continually override what we genuinely feel, and what becomes possible when we begin to live with greater emotional honesty and authenticity. Sandra, I am so delighted to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lorene. It was amazing listening to you read that description because as you're saying all of that, within the context of the next chapter, where we're working with women around age 50, this is exactly the kind of conversation that women often have at this point because they realize that all the way up until now, they've been taking care of everybody else. They've been taking care of the husband. They've been taking care of the children. They might have been taking care of the parents. And there hasn't been enough attention, enough prioritization going to taking care of themselves.
Absolutely. I
And
agree totally.
and around this time, around age 40 to 50, I'm a human design specialist. One of the things I do is help people understand their design based on where the planets were at the time you were born. And a very common time where people, mostly women, honestly, seek this kind of guidance, this kind of who am I, is around this time. at or approaching the age of 50 when they start feeling, you know what, if I'm going to make a difference in this world, I better get to it.
Hmm.
And what I've been doing, uh, it's been not for me, it's been taking care of everybody else. And so, very frequently, women want to know, what am I supposed to be doing here? I have a purpose. What is it? And they want to know at this time because they can feel, someday I'm not going to be here anymore. If I want to deliver on the purpose that I'm here for, I better get going. And what is it?
Exactly. And when that happens to us, what really can you tell us what really is going on inside us? How does that evolve and become who we are and become an expression of our lives?
Well, let's talk about how we get into this place of suppressing who we are and living for everybody else. And honestly, I think that begins very early in life. When we start off life and we learn that in order to be safe, in order to get love, in order to get what we need to survive, I need to please everybody else.
Mhm.
And very, very early, I think we learn this as babies, long before verbalization is available to us because it's basic survival for a baby. And they learn to stop crying, stop expressing myself, stop asking for what I need, even before words. So by the time I was 6, I remember being 6, and it's like I already had decided that I was bad and I hurt people. I was always getting in trouble for what I said. At 6, I was always already promising myself I wasn't going to speak again
Hmm.
because I learned that when I expressed myself, when I asked for what I need, when I behaved my normal way, I got in trouble for that. So, people pleasing way, way, way early.
Yes. And I think especially women, as we
Mm-hmm.
evolve, we are continued to be conditioned to be quiet, be polite,
Mm-hmm.
be a nice girl, don't rock the boat, don't make waves. So all of that comes into our maturation as adult women. And then something shifts in us and we say, I'm tired of that. I'm done with that. Is it really just we're sick of it and it's time to let it go? Or are there physiological things happening to us? I mean, you may not know this, but I'm very
All
curious.
of the above.
Yes.
All of the above. So, there's also the whole like empty nest thing that can happen.
Mhm.
If there have been children, it reaches a point where they're no longer at home, they're no longer quite as dependent. And so suddenly there's like this emptiness in the house. And what am I supposed to do? Right?
Mhm.
Um, if at some point along the way there's been, the loss of a spouse, because sometimes that will happen
Mhm.
around this age, and suddenly it's like, what am I here for? Like the whole reason for living is suddenly not there anymore. And may also be loss of direction. If there isn't a spouse anymore, it's just like, well, you know, he used to take care of all of the bills and all of this and all of that, and suddenly she has to do things to support herself. So there's all sorts of things that happen around this time that cause that sudden shocking moment when something needs to change here.
Yeah.
And the things that might have been niggling, on the background, well, I'm not really happy. Well, what do I really want? It reaches a point where like those questions become primary.
And then we become very awkward
Mm-hmm.
because as we start asking those questions and answers come, we also start expressing ourselves in ways that are more assertive about who we are and what we want.
Yes.
And so we're again back at that 6-year-old child being told, shut up, or you don't talk to like that, or there's something wrong with you, or you're broken, or you need to be corrected. Whatever those old messages were that we got, we are subject to hearing them again because people aren't used to us speaking blunt, us speaking
Yeah.
truth. So it's really a time for us to witness our own evolution,
Mm-hmm.
embrace it, and even in our discomfort, strive to enjoy it and begin to speak. And so, for a woman who is in this place, knowing all the things that you know, what advice would you give her about expressing herself more authentically?
Part of it is that this is not the kind of conversation that you can really get clarity about solely on your own.
Mhm.
And so, talking with friends, talking with, family members, having a practitioner, a counselor or a coach or some outside of your immediate circle may also be really valuable. So even your friends may hold you in a certain place. They think of you as being a certain way. um I may have talked to you about like the pigeonhole, right? So it's like if my behavior is expected to be in this pigeonhole, when I'm outside the pigeonhole, people might get upset.
Mhm.
So if my husband is used to me being in here and I start doing things out here, it's I was like, what are you doing? You're not playing your role. Our friends and other family might also have those kinds of expectations. If we have children, right? And we start behaving differently. What are you doing, mom?
Mhm.
Why would you want to go take a class in college?
Yeah.
Because, a pretty common age group to start attending college courses is elders.
Mhm.
When they find themselves, well, what I've been doing isn't working. I need to do something else. I need to learn some skills. And they go learn a class. And it's like, if you have adult children, that's like, what do you think you're doing, mom?
Yeah.
Right? So all of these different situations can occur. And sometimes, I know women who says like they stop caring what other people think and they just do what they want anyway. And they become blunt and just say what they have to say. And it's wonderful. It's delightful watching.
Having gone through that myself, I think it is very freeing.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's not easy to let go of what other people think. So, as you were speaking, I was thinking about my own experiences, and I mean, I've had people say to me, "Don't you think it's time for you to slow down? Why are you doing all these things? Maybe you need to see a therapist and talk about what's going on with you." So as we work this process for ourselves, I think it's important to remember there will be people who want to tell us they're concerned for us. They think there's something wrong with us. And we need to be ready for that, not
Mm-hmm.
just surprised when it happens, because it surprised me, but and continues to surprise me, but at the same time be ready for, oh, that's what this is. This is I'm not in the pigeonhole anymore. I'm outside that norm, and it's making people a little uncomfortable, and they are expressing that as concern for me, not control. They're not trying to control me. They're just worried because that's not how they thought I was going to be or who I was going to become as I got older. So it also sounds to me like, from what you said, it's really good to have community,
Yes.
whether it's your family or it's friends or it's a larger group, doesn't matter, but that you have a group support of people who encourage you to continue to evolve yourself and to speak your truth and live with authenticity in your life.
Yes. A lot depends on the company you keep,
Mhm.
the people you tend to spend time with. So, all of the people I associate with are already on this growing path. And we have conversations with each other about these kinds of things. And so there's lots of people around me to bounce ideas off of, to have these conversations with, and to have these ahas with a little bit at a time. When I have these kinds of associations all of the time, gradually over the years, I just get better and better and better and more able to express myself and more resilient when it comes to receiving other people's opinions and thoughts and more able to maintain my sense of center and my ability to like speak my mind when faced with someone who's saying, "What are you doing?" Right? So that by the time we get to this point, hopefully, we already have this ability to express ourselves, to know how we feel, not get so flustered by somebody is confronting us that we like jump out of ourselves and like start behaving oddly. Because I know I've certainly done that,
Or we
but I don't
revert
do that so
back.
much anymore.
We also, the temptation is to revert back to
Yes.
suppressing again who we are and what we feel and what we think. It's kind of like I had this suggested to me a while back, and I think it's really in a lot of ways true. It's like you've gone to a new level. And when if you're playing a game and you move from level 8 to level 9, you're never as good at level 9 when you start as you were good at level 8. So there is also this knowing that you need to contain or have within you that, okay, I'm beginning again. I'm starting another level. It's going to be awkward. I'm going to be uncomfortable, but the only way I get better at level 9 is by playing level 9 and playing with other women, other men, other family members who are also playing at level 9 will help
Mm-hmm.
you learn the game faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be a little bit disconcerting or discouraging as we repeat the levels. It's like we repeat the same issue, just at
Mhm.
another level. And wait a minute, I thought I already handled that. When really I handled it at a lower level and I'm operating on a different level of the same issue.
Mhm.
So to realize, oh, I thought I handled that. It's like, well, yeah, and it's been tweaked. It's like you took where you were and you went up a level.
It's more sophisticated.
Yes.
Yeah, and with sophistication, I think also comes more complexity.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, it's the same issue. And that issue to me is speaking your truth
Yeah.
in a way that is kind and loving. I don't need to shout it at you. I don't need to beat you with it, that all that kind of stuff. But finding a way to express what's true for me and let that just land and not worry about what everyone's thinking, feeling, how they're responding, whether you're responsible, can you be blamed? Just let all that stuff go. Just be who you are and trust. That's another one. Trust. Just trust the process that.
Those are all some of the levels, right?
Mhm.
So as we move through the levels, those individual little pieces, oh, people judge me. People don't like that. Those are some of the ones that hopefully by the time we get to this point, we're able to leave behind some of those. They're easier to just let it roll off my back instead of jumping to the defensive like
Mhm.
we would have before.
Yes, exactly. And so, as a last question for today's conversation, what do you think becomes possible for women when they stop trying to suppress their emotions, manage their emotions, and be more acceptable to everyone else? What possibilities arrive for women when that happens?
I find that sometimes people don't even know themselves what they actually want
Mhm.
because there's been so little space for it. Nobody has been asking, hey, what is it you really want to do here on this planet? And we start asking those questions of ourselves, and it's like, I don't know. That can happen. And so, what you can do is you can explore that and start to, what do I really want to do? And then actually taking those steps and accomplishing it. So it's like you mentioned that you have people in your life saying, isn't it time for you just to slow down? Why are you like doing all this stuff? because you realized, hey, there's things I want to accomplish here, and it takes some action, it takes some movement to
Yes.
do it, right? And so that's part of what becomes possible, actually really feeling alive
I
and doing.
underline that, really feeling alive, because that has been my experience. I really
Yes.
feel alive when I follow my truth, when I speak it, when I act on it. And sometimes I'm very surprised at what comes out. But then when I reflect on it, it's like, no, no, that's true. It's been there. You just haven't ever voiced it before. So there is some surprise sometimes, delight, perhaps. But what you just said is the truth. We, when we express ourselves, when we live with authenticity, it is like you are fully alive on this planet. And that is an incredible experience to me. It's like standing at the top of a mountain and looking around and just feeling the beauty, the glory, the wonder of life. And that I'm so lucky I get to be a part of that. Wow. And so that's what comes, you're right, that's what comes when we do this work. Yes. Woo, that went deep, didn't it? I always have deep conversations when I talk with you, Sandra. So thank you for that.
You're
Thank,
welcome. Oh, it's so much fun.
thank you. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for saying yes to the summit. I really do appreciate that you have a perspective about emotional suppression that's, sometimes you could think of it's like textbook boring, but at the same time, it's the truth. We all suppress who we are, what we feel, what we think to fit in, to belong. And when we learn to not do that, as we evolve into more authentic and fully alive women, this is an amazing gift. It is simply an amazing gift. And for those of you listening, if you are intrigued by this conversation, if it has resonated with you in some way, we are inviting you to join us this July 9th through 12th to the Next Chapter Summit. It's virtual, it's free for women to attend, and the focus is really going to be on learning to be authentically who you are and at the same time maintain that while you are fully connected, deeply connected to other people. And so we would love for you to join us if that resonates with you and is of interest. You can check out all about the summit in the link in the show notes to this video. Sandra will actually be with us speaking. She is joining us on Friday, the 10th of July, for her conversation, The Emotion Beneath the Silence. And together we're going to explore more about the emotional conditioning that we carry and that we um, use in our lives to suppress and disconnect from ourselves, and how to develop more emotional honesty with ourselves, and then learn to express that with more authenticity in the world that we live in. It's going to be a powerful conversation. Sandra, I'm so looking forward to it. I can hardly wait to hear what we talk about. For all of you listening, thank you for joining us today. We do again hope you'll join us at the Next Chapter Summit. Check that link in the show notes to this video for the registration sign up. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.